number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 294 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. It is National Week. It is if you're listening to this on show release day, it is Friday at the National. I am here. I hope you are too. I hope you're having fun. I hope you have picked up a few cards as I have. And hope to, I've either talked to you already or maybe run into you and talk to you soon. I'm walking around the show with Danny Black and some Cardmensch cards for autographed by both of us. If you want one, ask us. We'll give you one. But today's part two of our great conversation, which we started last week with sports photographer Brian Rothmuller, who does cards for Topps, Upper Deck, others, mainly baseball, some golf, and some other sports, and some great insights into that world. And it's not, if you don't know, you don't know, right? And he's kind of led us behind the curtain, and it's a great conversation. So that is part two of that conversation, and we'll take a 30-second break and be right back with that conversation with Brian.
For nearly 50 years, Sports Collectors Digest has been the voice of the hobby, bringing you comprehensive coverage of the sports collectible industry. From industry news, auction results, market analysis, and in-depth stories about collectors and their collections, Sports Collectors Digest has everything you need to know about the hobby. SCD is also your leading source for listings of sports collectible dealers, card shops, card shows, and the latest from the industry's top companies. To check out all the latest news or to subscribe to the hobby's oldest magazine, visit sportscollectorsdigest.com or call 1-800-829-5561.
Okay, now part two of our great conversation with sports card photographer Brian Rothmuller.
I could give you like a breakdown of what my day looks like. It would probably blow people's minds in terms of how long we're actually at the stadium and all that and what goes into it. So, if I'm driving up to LA, I live in Orange County, which is about an hour from LA, but it's never an hour. I leave here around 2:30 for a 7:00 game, get there maybe around 4. And then Dodger Stadium has the worst elevator system in all of stadiums, so I have to wait for the elevator, go down the field. Batting practice starts at 4 for the home team. So I got to set up all my gear and just sort of stand and hope something happens, standing around a lot. And then, you wait for the opposing team to come out. They come out around 5. The best time to get photos is when the players first come out and they're about to stretch because they're just kind of, loose. They got their sunglasses on. They're joking around. That's where a lot of the photos where, image variations come from are those shots. And then, they'll do batting practice. Sort of go back inside, get all my stuff ready for the game. And then, the game starts 7:00, in between innings. After, something good happens, I have to go back underneath the stadium to where our computers are and edit and post the pictures, go back out. It's probably a 3-hour. The games have been a little shorter, which has been nice, but 3-hour game. And then another half hour to 45 minutes editing after that, waiting for the elevator. And then, get to the parking lot and there's still traffic getting out of the stadium. So sometimes it takes, 20 minutes to get out of the stadium. And then by the time I get back to Orange County, it's normally around midnight. So it's a long day. And, you can have games where you just don't get anything. And it's, it can be frustrating when you have 2 or 3 of those in a row where you spend so much time and so much energy and you just sort of get a dud of a game. But yeah, you just got to press on, and then eventually you get a good one, and you get a bunch of images that you like. So, but it's not all fun and games. It's we're dodging foul balls, hitting our direction, making sure that we're safe, and it's a dream job, but it's also a ton of work that people, like you said, don't even know behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing some of your day like that, because I think it's important for, people think it's like, hey, you go to the game, you shoot for a couple hours and you go home. It's not. You got to get there early. It's not the game. Like you said, you got batting practice where some of those great shots are going to come out of, like just them stretching in the outfield. It's a full day. It's more than probably 8 hours. Like you said, you're leaving at 2:30. You're getting home at midnight. That's a 10-hour from start to finish with work. That's a 10-hour, almost a 10-hour day. And you really have to have a passion for it. You can't, I think you'll agree, Brian, you can't half-ass it, right? I mean, you could, but the proof's going to be in the pudding. And like you said, it's hard enough to get a shot when you're on your toes if you're not doing your due diligence, So I know this, but I think it's important for other people to realize, while it's a very cool job, it is a job, and you're putting in the work and you're grinding. I think it's
definitely. It definitely can be a grind. I mean, baseball is. Basketball is a little different. You can show up later, and it's not as it's a shorter game. But football's an all day thing too. It's the footballs in the fall are tough. If I'm shooting a college game one day and then a pro game the next day, that's a grind too. So, and football's constantly, you're running up and down the sidelines, you're moving. There's no baseball. At least you're sort of standing around, and it's a little easier on your body. But football, you're on the move for 3 or 4 hours. So
obviously most people now know about the new time rules in Major League Baseball with the pitch clock and limiting throws over. Has that made your job easier or more difficult, or maybe kind of both, depending on the situation?
I mean, it's easier in the sense that the games are shorter. Anytime there's a 2-hour game, it's like all the photographers are, have huge smiles on their faces. But it can be difficult in terms of the amount of time you have to edit because the innings are shorter. I think last year there was a couple games where in the beginning I would miss like 2 or 3 innings, and I would be like, wait, how did that go so fast? Like, normally that would be like an inning and a half. So there's a TV, where we edit. So, you can keep track of what's going on. But I mean, that's more challenging in terms of just being quicker with what you do and getting back out there so you don't miss a bunch of stuff. In terms of the pitch clock during the game, each at bat, I have found that the game is a lot faster where if you're taking a picture and someone hits a foul ball and then, you see something that you want to shoot, maybe it's a fielder smiling or doing something in between a pitch, you're going to miss the next pitch because it's too quick. That happened to me in an Angels game the other day. I was like on a fielder and then on the batter and then went back to the fielder thinking I had plenty of time to go back on the batter and I didn't. So it's speedy in that sense. I mean, some of the pitchers definitely work faster than others. And some of them, run the clock down to the last couple seconds. But I would say for the most part, it's an advantage for us just not having as long games as we could. And, the extra base runner in the extra innings, I hate that rule, but as a photographer, I love it because, the game's not going to go 17 innings. We're not going to sit there until, 1 a.m. at night and still be working. And so at least the games will get over quicker. But yeah, as a fan, I don't like the rule, but as a photographer, I'll take it.
Yeah, me either. But so that what you just said, Bert, makes me think about another question. Let's say it is an extra inning game, and for whatever reason, whether a team's scoring and the other team matches the score and it continues to go in extra innings. As a photographer, do you have to stay till the final out, or can you say, hey, I'm done shooting. I'm wrapping. I'm calling it a day. What's kind of the etiquette?
I mean, if it's an extra inning game, then you're staying because you want the celebration, you want all that stuff. I mean, if it's a 15-1 game and it's the eighth inning and you're just kind of like, okay, all the regulars are out. There's no like rookies in the game. Then I might go back and just do my edit a little early and not shoot the last two innings just to try to get out of there a little earlier. But there's been times where that's happened and I'll go in and then a position player will come in to pitch and I'll be like, oh, great, I got to go back out there and take a picture of that because that may never happen again. And then, so I would say for the most part, you're there. It's just if the game's a blowout, say they take Mookie out, say they take Shohei out, like, okay, I'm going to go in and edit. Like, there's nothing left for me here. I might miss something, but the odds are so small that I might miss something at that point. So, with the Dodgers, it's like, we all do it, but, we try to time our editing around, well, when is Shohei going to get up again? So it's like, okay, he just hit the last inning. You can just see a flood of photographers going in and editing because, he was the last out and we have, 9 more batters. Hopefully they won't bat around and he won't get up again. But you definitely have to time your editing around who's up, who's going to be up, who you're there to shoot, all that sort of stuff. And, also, the light, if the light is really good and it's not nighttime yet, you want to stay out there until, maybe the light gets bad and then go in and edit a little bit. So, I'm constantly thinking, sometimes overthinking. I mean, we have several different positions where we can stand too. So I'm trying to, think ahead, like, okay, this person's going to get up. He looks better swinging from the right side. I'm currently on the left side. Do I want to go to the other side? If I don't do it this inning, do I want to do it next inning? I do a lot of research pregame on like batters who I haven't shot before or, new players just to see what their swing looks like and, see what side potentially looks better. A lot of players wear that huge thing over their, like their jaw and their face now, which makes it really hard to get a good shot of their eyes when they swing. So you gotta take that into effect. You gotta take into effect that, like, is it a pull hitter? Is it not a pull hitter? Like, I mean, Shohei looks good from both sides because he hits a lot of balls in all directions of the field. But some players just don't. Like, unless they hit a foul ball that kind of looks like a fair ball and they really open up and you can see their eyes. But there's a lot of research and just knowledge base that I try to think about beforehand to give myself sort of a leg up when I'm out there. So I'm not looking at my photos as I'm shooting them going, oh, this is not the side to be on. Like, I should have went to the other side, because you don't have time to really do that during the game. If you're doing it during the game, then you're probably screwing up and missing stuff. So
yeah, there's a strategy involved here too as well. Like you said, you're thinking sort of even before the game, your approach or how you're going to shoot the game. And people, again, I think that's lost on people who think you just find a spot and that's it for the whole game. You're just shooting. The one thing I wondered about, Brian, is obviously your credential to get in and be in access those areas. Do you have to let the team know, like, ahead, I'm attending today's game? Do they know, like, what photographers are coming? Or can you just show up and say, I'm here? How does that work?
So there's two types of credentials you can get. You can get a season credential, which means you can go to any game, or they have daily credentials, which are for the specific game. So your editor just either applies for the games that you want to go to, or if you have a season credential, you don't have to tell them. They just sort of know that, these outlets have season credentials. They're probably going to be at the game. So Dodgers this year definitely cut down on the amount of credentials. I mean, for the U.S. press, just because there was so much international people that they had to fit in. So, which wasn't new because that's sort of how it was with the Angels when Ohtani was there too. There's actually a lot more room for photographers at Angels than Dodgers. So it's been a little challenging, but they're great to work with. They're very aware of not trying to get in your way, and they're mainly there to shoot Shohei. So when another player gets up, if you need to get in their spot, they move out of the way. And I think it's when Shohei got up the other night, the photographer next to me is from Japan, and he was one of the coaches was completely blocking him because he was standing on the stairs. So moved over a little bit to make sure that he get its shot. And it's just sort of those small things that, you do that for them, they do it for you. And it's just showing that you're aware of what's going on. And so it's been fun. I think shooting Shohei's pretty wild in the sense that he's got cameras on him at all times. I mean, he's been doing some light throwing during batting practice, and there's 5 TV cameras and maybe 10 international press cameras just on him the whole time. And you would think that would wear on somebody, but he handles it pretty well. So, but it's definitely a blessing to be in the LA market right now with Ohtani, being a Dodger for the next 10 years or whatever it is. So.
You are listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast. We'll be right back after this break.
Hobby Hotline is the hobby's only live interactive call-in show. Join some of your favorite hobby personalities every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, to discuss the hottest hobby topics. If you miss us live, catch us after the fact on all major podcast platforms. Follow us on socials at Hobby Hotline.
Let's go! You are listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast.
You mentioned, SSPs, variations, trying to catch those type of shots potentially. Do you ever, I don't want to say orders, do you ever have like, hey, we need this, like going in, like this is something that's requested, like I got to get this shot?
No, because I don't have any direct communication with the card companies.
Okay.
I'll say that to myself. Like I'll say, okay, I need a picture of, whoever it is when they come out for batting practice. I'm looking for them doing specific things, or, I like to get pictures of the players in the dugouts before the game. So, that's on me. Like I need to get to this side to make sure I try to get a picture of them before the game, and I sort of know what I'm looking for in that. I would say that's mostly with baseball. Like with basketball, there's really not anything that you can get that's sort of different like baseball, because there's so much. I mean, you don't really want to get a picture of some guy just sort of warming up in basketball, like with his his t-shirt on and his headphones on. Like it's not really something that you would see on a card. So it's mainly what I'm telling myself that I need to get, and making sure that I put myself in the best position to get it, and know that most of the time, even if you make a good plan, it's going to get blown up by something. So not getting completely frustrated by that. There's been times where, players are coming out of the clubhouse, going into the dugout, and they'll have a great big smile on their face. They'll be carrying all their gear, and it's like the perfect shot. And then a coach or another player will walk sort of right in front of them and give him a high five. And by the time he gets in an area where I have a clear shot of him, the smile's gone, like the photo's gone. And, it's frustrating, but it's like, okay, well, I couldn't have done anything differently. Just sort of the luck of the draw. So you come back the next day hoping that, you can get that, opportunity again. And then maybe he's not smiling the next game. So it's you just can't be hard on yourself, because there's so many variables that you just can't control. So you can just do the best you can.
Yeah, I love these stories. And I think it's important for people to know, like, it's not just showing up, taking, 1,000 pictures and then driving home and doing it again the next day, right? There's a strategy involved here too. Much like you see a player pull a card out of his back pocket as to where he should be positioned with certain batters.
Oh, I need those. I should get those. That would be great. But it's like Shohei's up. I should have been on the other side. Like I need to be the other side, the third position. Oh, that would be great. I wonder if I could market those for other photographers.
There you go. The photography for dummies, if you will. Sports photography.
Yeah.
I believe you could correct me if I'm wrong. Your photos have appeared on 4,000 cards. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's funny because during COVID, I started this spreadsheet that was, all my cards. It had the names, the little picture of them. I got up to about 2,000, and then my son was born, and that spreadsheet has not been touched since then. So I would say it's probably around 4,000. I wanted to go back and do it, but it's such a big project to do now because it's been 2 years. That I don't know if that'll happen, but it's probably around 4,000. And I'm sort of in my sales logs, I sort of have 100 to 150 to 200 cards every month that I get paid for. So that's sort of.
That was my next question, Brian. Do you know what shots ahead of time are going to eventually make their way onto a card?
No, I mean, I'll have ideas. Like, there's definitely pictures I'll take where I'll be like, oh, that's perfect for a card. And, in 6 to 12 months, it's probably going to be on a card. And then it will appear. So I don't know beforehand. By the time I get my reports, normally the cards have been already out. So I don't know what they're going to be on. My reports don't say like, Mookie Betts, here's the picture and it's on Stadium Club. It just says Topps. So it's like, it could be on any Topps product. It could be on the front. It could be on the back. The backs are hard to judge in terms of photos because a lot of people don't take pictures of the backs like on eBay. So.
Well, I was going to ask you, how do you know? Like, so you could open a pack and that's how you discover your photos been used on the card, like in real time, like you're finding out on the fly.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like Christmas morning. It's like when Series 2 came out, I think I watched like a break of someone opening like a hobby box, and he was going way too fast through the cards. I was like, slow down, like I think that one's mine. Like trying to take screenshots to see, to look later. But yeah, I mean, normally it's just if a set comes out, I'll put a safe search in eBay, and then once cards fly up there, then I'll sort of look at them. And, I know the teams and players that I shot from the last year. And for the most part, if I see a card, I'll know, that's my shot. That's not my shot. Some people think that's weird.
I was going to ask you about that. How difficult is that? Because, I mean, a lot of times they're shot from the same angle by a different photographer. How do you know? Like, I know but like, how do you? Like, how difficult is that?
Sometimes you can tell, like, just the position and stuff. Sometimes, like, the colors, like, just sort of look like the colors of the photos I take. Sometimes, it's just the angles or the pictures, or I just remember, I remember editing that picture. There'll definitely be times where I'll look at something, I'll be like, that looks like something I might have shot, and then I'll look and I'll be like, oh, that's at the game I was at, but that's not my photo. So. But I've gotten pretty good where for the most part, I'll know, okay, I shot them in that uniform against this team. So could be, it's definitely harder with the, Photoshop jerseys because like you don't know sometimes. So lately Topps has been doing this thing where, for Ohtani, they took a picture of him at an Angels game where he hit a home run and they retouched it to the Dodgers uniform, which would have been easy to see if the Angels stadium was still in the background, but they took him out of the Angels stadium and put him into the Dodgers stadium. So there's like all these variables where I'm like, okay, well, that's definitely not from this year, even though it's the stadium. And so those are a little harder to figure out, especially with like pictures of Yamamoto. I got into some argument on social media with this guy saying, how do you know that is a Photoshop picture? I'm like, because you can't take that picture in Dodger Stadium. Like, that angle is not possible. Like, it's like not possible. They're like, well, what if, some other photographer got, I'm like, it's not possible. Like, they,
you can only be in certain areas.
Yeah. It was a picture.
You're not going to be sitting on the bench next to a
Yeah.
player not in the game just to get this that doesn't happen.
So those are definitely tricky to figure out whose they are. And, the top Series 2 packaging is a picture of Juan Soto. And I saw the picture and I was like, okay, that seems to be something that I might have shot last year when he was on the Padres. And I looked, and they did a great job of photoshopping that one. I mean, they probably spent a lot of time since it's on the packaging. But, yeah, the picture on Series 2 is a Photoshop picture of Juan Soto in his Yankees uniform from last year in his Padres uniform that I shot when he hit a home run.
They don't have to tell you. They have poetic license at that point after,
Yeah, they can do whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, within reason, right? I mean, they're not going to put a hat on someone that's like a birthday hat or something, or
unless it's the holiday box.
Yes, that is true. A candy cane bat. I've had some of those too.
Well, that's real cool. Very cool, man. And to, literally to open a pack and see you work, I don't want to say for the first time, but hey, it's on this card. That's just got to be a pretty cool moment, I would think.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, some of my friends, they have kids who were playing Little League, and about a month ago, I brought some packs down, and we're opening them, and they're like, "Is this your card? Is this your picture?" And I'm like, "That's my picture." And one of them wanted me to sign it. It was like a Julio Rodriguez card. I was like, I don't think you want me to sign this. Like, it's going to go down in value. Like, he's like, no, I want you to sign it. I'm like, no, I'm not signing it. So that's fun. Like, just opening packs with kids and, giving kids cards that have my photos on it and telling them that, that I took that picture. They're like, what?
And maybe you're aspiring a young man or woman to follow in your footsteps and carry the torch when they get older as well. So
my wife says that I should write a kid's book about cards and photos, and she's like, "There's something there," and we'll see.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have you back anyway. But if you definitely do that, we'll definitely have you back and talk about that. Do you go to games just as a fan? Do you get to do that, or are you so from attending so many as work, do you kind of just want to decompress? Talk about.
Yeah, it's funny because I used to go to so many games as a fan, and it's totally different now. I think the last game I went to was a Braves game when my wife and I were visiting her family in Atlanta, and I mean, we had great seats, but the whole game I was watching the photographers and seeing what they were doing. And watching the light, because it was really pretty sunset, and
so you still got your game face on.
I couldn't turn my mind off. I couldn't just watch and not think about well, if I was here, I'd be doing this. And it's funny because one of the great photographers in LA, he's shot for Getty for years. He was watching the Masters during a rain delay at a Dodgers game this year, and he was the same way. He was watching on TV, and he was like, okay, I would be over in that corner, shooting in this direction. He was still playing the game in his mind, even though he wasn't there, and just watching on TV, which, I mean, that's sort of crazy. I mean, that's how you get good at your craft too, is thinking it through like that. But yeah, I haven't been to too many games as a fan. I think once my son gets a little older, I think I'll start going some more. I took him to batting practice to the Angels a month ago, and he lasted about 10 minutes on the field just being interested. But he loves baseball, but it's too early to get him to a game. But that'll be fun. That'll be a new version of a fan. But yeah, it's hard to go to a game and sit far away when I'm sitting so close in the action as it is now. So. Kind of spoiled.
I love the answer, and it's on, right. And plus you still got your game face on. It's hard to get out of that mode. Even though you're not there working, you're thinking as if you are. Well,
especially with the Braves game too, because I haven't shot there before, so I was like in my mind doing research, like, okay, if I shoot here and, in the future, I should go to this side or that side, or, just trying to get tips. And at some point I need to turn my brain off, which would probably be a good idea.
Well, Brian, I appreciate you coming on and giving some of that behind the scenes insight. I think, again, I know I've said this on more than one time here, but I think it's important to realize the work and detail that goes involved. We get to open a pack of cards and enjoy the work that photographers such as yourself do, but I think people don't realize the grind and the effort for that final product to be there for us to enjoy. And I'm glad you shared some of that. While I may know, there's probably a higher percentage that don't realize all that stuff, and I think it's important to know that and kind of give credit where credit's due. And so I appreciate it. As always, I give the guests kind of where people can follow you, social media wise, anywhere you want to direct them. Go ahead and let folks know.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm mainly on Instagram, Sportscardphotographer. I do have a Twitter account, SportsCardPhoto, which I don't use very often. Like if I see someone post a tweet about a card that is a picture of a card that has my picture on it, I'll retweet it. But mostly on Instagram. And when I started my Instagram account, it was basically the story behind the photo. So I would write sort of the process behind getting that photo, what was happening during the game, where I was shooting from. And I loved doing that. And then when my son was born, I didn't have the time to do that. So I've just sort of been posting, photos and cards, but hope to get back to that soon, because it's a unique story about, okay, what was happening during the game when that photo was taken, and what was the thought process. So gives people sort of behind the scenes of what we do. So
yeah, very cool. Look forward to seeing your work continue on cardboard and chrome, and very important, right? Without you on the front lines there, we wouldn't have the cards that we have to enjoy. So keep up. I know it's a grind. Pace yourself. Keep up the great work, and look forward to seeing some of that great work on cardboard and chrome.
Thanks for having me.
Brian's an awesome guy. Really happy to have him on the last 2 episodes, breaking down what he does, the importance of what he does. I know we take for granted, just in general, sports card photographers, and so I hope you learned a few things. It's not as easy as probably we think in our mind. So glad for having him on and sharing what goes into that and what it entails. So again, if you're at the National, hope to see you, get to chat with you. Hope you're having a good time. Next we'll have some content obviously coming out of us being at the National as well. So we're going to break now to hear from our Hobby is the People announcer of the week, some closing thoughts, and we'll wrap up the episode. Safe if you travel to the National, safe travels home as well.
Time for our Hobby is the People announcer of the week.
Sup everyone, it's Brody the Kid. Always remember, the hobby is the people. Peace out.
If you'd like to be the Hobby is the People announcer of the week, do a WAV or MP3 file and send it to sportscardnationpc@gmail.com.
That's a wrap for this week. Huge thanks to you, the listeners out there, because without you, there is no us. If you like the show, we truly appreciate positive reviews. Big ups to our great guests who drive the show and our awesome sponsors who make it all possible. Sports Card Nation will be back next week, but don't forget to catch either Hobby Quick Hits or Card Mentions coming up on Monday. I'll leave you with this. How do we change the world? One random act of kindness at a time. Remember, the hobby is the people.
Hobby News Daily is your homepage of the hobby, providing original writing, exclusive gem rate data, a daily morning minute podcast, and some of the best content creators in the hobby. Remember, hobbynewsdaily.com, and at Hobby News Daily on social. Happy collecting!
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.